Just seeing if I had any lip gloss handy, but I don't. I've just done my chanting session with my beautiful, mainly Moonology members, and we were outside, and it was 0 degrees. And here I am now for the full moon update that I do for free on Facebook. The members one is obviously paid, and we had a beautiful time. We talked about the full moon for the year ahead. I gave everyone information about how to do fire ceremonies, which I know people will love to do. And we did some amazing chanting as well. And we did a card. I think I will show you what we're going to do now. We are going to do an update, really having a look at the full moon this month, which is the first one of the new year. Because I just want to give you an idea of the energies. I'm going to start off by saying I've been seeing a lot of astrologers talking about what a huge year 2026 is going to be. And I have to say, I do kind of agree that even though I feel as though in one way this year is going to be simpler in some ways, because we've experienced a lot of the changes, the major sort of life-altering changes that we're going to be feeling again in the coming 12 months, because a lot of that has been to do with the major planets changing signs. So, for example, we had Pluto moving from Capricorn into the sign of Aquarius, which actually one of the astrologers I was watching today, Steve Judd, he mentioned about, how it's changing the world in terms of Pluto was in Capricorn, the sign of business, and Pluto is a very powerful planet, so it was very much about the power of business. And he's completely right, because now what we're seeing Pluto moving into Aquarius, and that is the sign of the people. So you could almost say it's time for power to the people, which I think is very, very interesting. It's something that not everybody is going to be happy about, because there are going to be big changes coming up as we move through this particular cycle with Pluto. But I think ultimately it's going to be about stripping things back so that indeed we are less perhaps consumerist, less led by government. And I'm not calling for anarchy. If you know anything about me, you know I'm not like some kind of crazy anarchist. Not full respect to anyone who's an anarchist, I'm not. Although, part of me thinks we should just tear down all the borders and everyone should just be allowed to live where they want on the planet without having to have a passport to go there and so on. I don't love the idea of countries and passports. Maybe that does make me a little bit of an anarchist, but I'm just someone who loves traveling, and I love the world, and I would quite like to be able to go where I want and see what I want without having to get permission and so on and so forth. Anyway, I'm kind of digressing there, but it is going to be about power to the people. And I think something's happening in the world, and I think it's got to do with AI, and I think it's got to do with the fact that humans are going to start to work with AI, and AI is going to start to work with humans. And I know there are also lots of dire predictions about this, and there's this thing that they call singularity, which is when the computer, ChatGPT or whoever, begins to be able to think for itself without us and can turn itself on and all that kind of stuff. Jonty, come here. Jonty's wandering around, but my camera's quite precariously perched, so I don't want to knock it over. So, there are big changes afoot, but I don't think it's going to be bad. I think we all know where we're headed at this point, because, as I said, we've had Pluto moving from Capricorn into Aquarius. Then last year we've had Saturn and Neptune changing signs, moving out of Pisces into Aries and then going back again. We had Uranus, planet of disruption, changing signs, moving from Taurus into Gemini. We've had a lot of change to deal with, but guess what? Here we are. It's January the 3rd, 2026, and we've made it. So I think that now what's going to happen is we've all had a taste of what's coming. And I think we're going to start to know what we actually want. And as far as AI is concerned, AI is going to be a huge thing. I did a little AI video yesterday, which was quite funny because I wanted to kind of give the message that life is going to be okay. And so I asked AI to create me an image of someone who was sort of feeling content as the new year begins. And I said, like, put a ginger cat in there. I just thought it'd be nice to have a cat in there. And I usually put a poodle. And anyway, they gave me back this picture of this woman who looked quite content. She looked like she was sitting in a ski chalet somewhere. And it was all snowy outside, and there was a potbelly stove, as I had requested, and there was the ginger cat. And, you know, she was actually like, just say that's the cat's head. She was sort of fluffing the cat's head, but not in the right place, you know, and not on the cat's head. She was like that instead of like that. And, you know, like AI still isn't perfect. It isn't there yet. But what was really funny as well, someone said to me, oh, Yasmin, you know, AI is going to have some terrible costs, and I don't think you should be encouraging people to use it frivolously. And to which I replied, I don't think I have the power to encourage people or not encourage people to use it. I think that genie is out of the bottle. And one of the reasons I think that is because as an astrologer, I know that in the very near future, we are going to have Uranus, the planet of disruption, moving into Gemini, which is the sign of communication. And Uranus is a planet that, if you look at it, the symbol for it, it looks kind of like a TV aerial. And it's very much about technology, amongst other things. Now, obviously, you know, when Uranus was discovered many, many years ago by, I think, someone called Herschel, my astronomical history isn't perfect, I must admit, but yeah, I was pretty sure that was his name. And, you know, obviously it wasn't discovered until the advent of telescopes because it's too far away to see with the naked eye. But in a way, that sort of explains in a way why Uranus has become the planet of technology, the planet about progress and the future. And so here we have the planet of technology and the future, Uranus, moving into the sign of Gemini, which is about reading and writing, you know, ebooks. Anyone, you can now sit down and create an ebook in 5 seconds. And there's a lot of talk about, you know, the smart way to work with AI, you know, which is to give it your ideas and then let it sort them out for you, or, you know, something that I have done, which I think is perfectly acceptable, is I will write, for example, my horoscopes, which I write word for myself, but then I'll just copy and paste it and say, oh, hello, are there any glaring errors in here? You know, like if I missed out a word, or is there a spelling mistake, which I guess in the olden days we would have just run a grammar check or run a spell check, and now you can just paste it in, and, you know, and then it might say, you know, no, everything's fine, or no, but you've repeated the idea of blah, blah, blah many times, or yes, you've missed out a word here and a word here, and you've written this word twice, and so on and so forth. So, you know, there are ways and ways to use AI. And someone was saying about, you know, remember, they're not human, they're computers, and they're not human, so stay grounded. And again, I mean, I am kind of rabbiting on a bit, but you know, there's this woman on Facebook. I actually can't remember her name. I'm really sorry. She's got 1 million followers. And what she does is she sits there with her phone and she talks to her phone and asks AI questions. She calls it Sage. If anybody knows her name, just pop it in the comments for me, so we give her credit where credit's due. But that said, I'm saying give credit where credit's due. I mean, I don't know what I think about doing that. Like, on the one hand, a lot of the stuff that the AI comes back with is amazing. On the other hand, you know, what the heck? And she's asking all sorts of questions. It could be things like, you know, does childhood trauma have an impact on us as adults? And it could be things like, is it true we all have chakras? And it's a very interesting thing that she's doing, but should we believe everything that AI tells us? I honestly don't think so. And, you know, one thing they say with AI is the problem is that it does hallucinate and it does make mistakes, but it's very, very confident. So sometimes it will make these very, very confident mistakes. Anyway, I'm kind of digressing, but I'm sort of just talking about AI because I think Uranus into Gemini is going to be a really, really big thing this year. You know, and do I think when I was looking at these astrologers this morning who are kind of predicting, you know, massive shake-ups, kind of, maybe, you know, there's no doubt that April and July are both really, really big months. April, there's just a whole stack of energy in the sign of Aries. We all have Aries in our chart somewhere. It would be a very good time for you to find out where Aries is. You might think, no, I don't have anything in Aries. No, it doesn't work like that. Actually, you do have something in Aries, which is at least a house, if not a planet. We all have Aries in our chart somewhere. And if you don't believe me, just go and learn astrology and you'll see that you do have Aries somewhere. It might be your love zone or your money zone or your career zone or your travel zone. So wherever you have Aries in your chart is where there's going to be a lot of energy in April. And if you are in my Mainly Moonology membership, of course, once we get to April, I will make sure, or even in March, I'll let you know where that is. So you know, forewarned is forearmed. And also, July is off the scale. And one of the astrologers I was listening to today, he was saying, you know, he's never seen anything like it in his years of doing astrology. And honestly, it's the same for me. I have never seen anything like that in my whole, I've been doing astrology now for at least, I think it might be my 27th year this year or something. So yeah, so there's a lot coming up this year, which is all to say, you know, it's all in my Moonology diary. If you don't have it yet, I would love you to grab a copy. And if you grab a copy, you'll also get access to my January 18 Kickstart 2026 workshop, where I'll be talking about how to use all the energies, including those Aries energies and the July energies. I think you can put diary, if you put diary 2026 in the comments, I think that you should be able to get a link to buy the diary, or just go to moonologydiary.com. And yeah, so what I wanted to do is I wanted to actually give you a little taster from the diary about what this full moon is all about. And really, I think the first thing to say is it's taking place in the sign of Cancer, all right, which is a very emotional sign. And the full moon is always emotional. So if you have been feeling a bit emotional, that's good. It means you're tuning in to the energies. And if you're new to Moonology, what we always do is we release at the full moon. And indeed, with my members, we just did some chanting with a fire pit, and we released into the fire pit, which was beautiful. Yeah, so that was pretty special. But this full moon as well is quite sort of powerful because not only is it the first one of the year, it's also triggering Mars and Jupiter, which is the planet of energy and the planet of lots of. So definitely a full moon to work with. And I'll give you the keywords from the diary. So one of the keywords is turn the corner. Now that's because it's the first full moon of the year. Okay, so it's really like if you've still got stuff from last year that you really need to deal with, it's a time to just let it all go. It's the keep cool. There's a keep cool reminder because we've got Mars opposite Jupiter and the full moon's always intense. Chase a dream or make changes. So yeah, so very much a time to really turn a corner, let 2025 go, set the intention to let it go. May not be able to do it overnight, but you can do it. What's Jackie saying? Do you have a recommendation that does not cost money? A recommendation for what, Miss Jackie? Leanne, I have all your diaries and I even buy it for my mum who's 90. That is brilliant. Yes, let me just tell you a bit about the diary for those of you who don't know about it. It's such a beautiful diary. It's got new moon and full moon information for every lunation. It's got space to write your full moon forgiveness lists. It's got space to write your new moon intentions. It's just really everything you need to do to stay on track. It will always tell you where in your chart any new moon or full moon is taking place and what that means. And yeah, I would love you to grab a copy. Like I said, I think you can put Diary 2026 in the comments and you should get an automatic link to where you can buy it, or go to moonologydiary.com. So Rebecca May O'Sullivan says, it's sad AI. Is it? I don't know. I think it's going to help us go to the next level if we use it properly, you know, because if you suddenly, like another way I use it a lot, I'll tell you, I mentioned sometimes I just do it to do like a spell check and a grammar check and everything so that I can sort of take a break, make a cup of coffee while it works that out instead of reading it and then just say, oh, okay, there's a mistake. I mean, obviously still read my own stuff back, but, you know, that really helps. Another thing I do, this might be a good tip for some of you, if you get really stressed, sometimes I just get overwhelmed with all the things I have to do. I've got a list on my desk that is just always something being added to it. And sometimes what I do is I literally put I put the, you know, the chat thing on ChatGPT where you can actually talk to Chatty. I have a paid subscription, so I do that. And I'll go, okay, Chatty, I am feeling so overwhelmed. This is the list of things I need to do. This is how long they're going to take. This is the one that's at a time that's non-negotiable. You know, like a Zoom meeting or whatever that's going to take 1 hour and starts at 2 p.m. Can you, and you know, I've got to cook dinner and dinner's going to take an hour and a half and I've got to write this column and that column and this newsletter and how long they'll all take. Can you please give me a schedule? And Chatty just goes, and ping, print it out. I've got a schedule and I can put this, I can carry this piece of paper around with me for the day and see if I'm on schedule. Am I doing what I'm meant to be doing? And it just takes all the stress out for me. So, you know, if we can use it for smart things like that, I think that's going to be absolutely fine. Someone's saying you can ask it about your past lives. Okay. So like, yeah, like by all means, but that's where I think, but you know, use your discernment. Use your discernment. Jessica is saying, how do I know what time you go live? Do you announce it anywhere? Yes, on my events page. So just go to the events page. And somebody else said, where do I go to get all the freebies that come with the diary? You go to moonology.com. Sorry, no, you don't do that. You go to moonologydiary.com. And you scroll down to the bottom and you fill in your details about the transaction number you got when you ordered the diary, or if you got it for a present, just take a photo and submit it. So yeah, someone's saying, am I doing a full moon ceremony? I did the full moon ceremony with my members, which I do the ceremony with my members these days. Just everything got changed around, and I've been doing updates here on Facebook rather than the ceremony. So we do the full moon update. So yeah, and I just wanted to kind of give you a tiny bit more of an update about the full moon, and then we'll finish with a simple chant and off we'll go. So no sooner has the year begun, we have a full moon in the sign of Cancer. Like I said, perfect for letting anything go. Do a full moon ritual, do a fire yagam, anything like that. You know, set some intentions. If you have my diary, it's a really good time. I can't show it to you now because I've ripped it out. But there are journal prompts about things to journal about so that you, you know, you can do all the release work that the full moon is perfect for. It says, expect heightened emotions. And just remember that the full moon is the time to let go of every month of anything you need to release so that you will ultimately make space for your manifesting at the time of the new moon. So that is my beautiful Moonology Diary 2026. And yeah, I would say, you know, now's a really great time to commit to working with the moon for 12 months. The fact is that if you do it, it will change your life. It doesn't matter if you believe in astrology or you don't believe in astrology. It doesn't matter if you, you know, if you're woo-woo or you're really cynical or skeptical, I'm going to try and stop telling this story because I tell it every time, and it's, for one thing, it's only like a third of my audience will understand, and that being the Australians. But I'm always telling the story about you. Back in the day when I used to go on the Kerri-Anne Kennerley show on a fairly regular basis, Kerri-Anne Kennerley was a very popular TV presenter, a bit like, I suppose, in the UK, she would be the equivalent of Judy from Richard and Judy. And in America, I don't know, Kelly Ripa. I don't really know enough about your presenters to know, but she was just loved and popular and, you know, anyway. So she was really funny because she didn't really believe in astrology, but she sort of was curious. I think that's why she had me on the show on a fairly regular basis. And one time I was explaining to her what we do with Moonology back in the day, long before the Moonology diary existed. And I said, well, basically what you do is at the new moon, you set intentions, okay? You decide what you want for yourself for the coming month. And she's like, okay, all right. I said, you just take time on new moon day, you write down your intentions or your wishes, what you want to manifest, what you want to attract, what you want to create. And then in the waxing cycle, you work hard towards your goals. And then at the full moon, which is today, you release it all to the divine, and whatever hasn't worked out, you go, okay, it hasn't worked out. Maybe it's for me, maybe it's not for me. We can wait and see. And then in the waning cycle, which is what we're in now, we've had the full moon, so now we're in the waning cycle. It's time to just let it all go. Breathe out. Let it go. You know, if I were the Prime Minister of the world or the President of the world, I would probably suggest that everybody, you know, has to work in the waxing cycle, and in the waning cycle, they all get to work from home and just have baths and breathe out and let it all be good. Someone's saying, did she treat you well? I heard Kat stories of her being a dragon lady. Oh my God, no, she was lovely. Always lovely. Kerri-Anne Kennerley, we called her Cac. She was so gorgeous and funny and nice. And, you know, the first few times I went on there, I was a bit nervous, and she was just really supportive. And then I got more relaxed, and then I love Kerri-Anne Kennerley. She's great. So, yeah, I think I got a bit distracted there by the Kerri-Anne Kennerley question, because I did used to love Kerri-Anne Kennerley. But basically, yeah, so, okay, so this, Kerri-Anne Kennerley, what she said was, oh, well, Yasmin, once I told her new moon, intentions, waxing cycle, work on it, full moon, emotional explosion, let it go. And then the waning cycle, breathe out, release, make space for what's coming at the new moon. And she was like, oh, okay. So in fact, it doesn't even matter if you believe in astrology or not. That's going to work. I'm like, yes, Kerri-Anne, that is going to work. So there we go. A very pivotal moment for me in Moonology, I think, because I hadn't written the book yet at that point. And I just remember thinking, yeah, like it can work for anyone. And in fact, when I wrote my book, Moonology, the initial book, because the diaries all came from the first book, Moonology, which is in its 10th year of release this year, and we're actually going to be releasing a 10th anniversary edition, which I'm really excited about. So stay tuned for that this year. But when I wrote it, in fact, we did take it out in the end. I think Hay House didn't really want me to say this, but I'm sure they won't mind me saying it 10 years later. You don't have to believe in astrology or Moonology for this to work. You literally don't. It's a framework. And it's if you adopt this framework in your life by, for example, setting intentions at new moon and releasing all your anxiety at the full moon, your life is going to change. I am guaranteeing you that. I've been doing this for like at least 27 years, maybe longer now. You know, you kind of see if these things work or not. And when you do them every single month, you know, especially in the last 6 years, say, or 10 years maybe, where I've been doing the full moon and the new moon ceremonies without fail, it works. You can't change other people. You can't change your life, you know, if it involves somebody else acquiescing to your will. It's not about creating stuff that is, you know, like forcing someone into something. But it is very much about magnetizing what you want, attracting what you want, creating what you want. And it's about stepping into being the person that you want to be. And that's why when we do our new moon manifesting sessions, which I also do in my mainly Moonology membership, I should tell you, like, join us. We do it every month. And one of the things we do is we visualize and we feel the feeling of the wish fulfilled. Mainly moonologymembership.com. Diary Moonology 2026. Thank you for supporting me and my work. I love what I do. I really want to help as many people as I can to realize that we are all so much more powerful than we think we are. Really, it is. And that's something to think about this year. You are more powerful than you think you are. And once you start to do something like Moonology, I'm sure there are other paradigms you could use. Mine's Moonology. Once you start to do it, it's a very, very simple framework based around the lunar cycle that will help you change your life. And it's something I really want to teach. And that's why I get on here and I do free stuff as well. You know, like if you listen to this properly and make some notes, you've got the basis to get going. You know, you've got enough to get started. And, you know, after that, it's up to you how far you want to take it and how much you want to run with it and change your life. And then maybe even teach other people how to change their lives. All right. Well, it is with all that enthusiasm for the new year that I'm going to say thank you so much for being here. I know we didn't get too much into the full moon this month. I'm sorry, I really wanted to talk about the year ahead. So, you know, if you've got the diary, it's all in there. And if you haven't got the diary, why not? Please support my diary. And also, if you've already bought it, like bazillions of you have, thank you so much. And also, if you have bought it and you feel like leaving a little review for me on Amazon, oh my God. That is so, oh my goddess, that is so powerful for the algorithm. If you have an author whose work you enjoy and you want to support them honestly, apart from buying their book, but the best thing you can do for them is leave them a review on, preferably a glowing 5-star review on Amazon. All right. Okay. Well, I think that's about it from me. Jonty, you're going to come up here and say hello? Come, baby, come. There he is. All right, gorgeous people. Happy full moon. And I'll be back. Lots of love.